I got sober when I was 21 years old, and I didn't get on the job until I started working in the county jail when I had about 1.5 years of sobriety, 2 years, and then about 3 years later I got on the police department. So I had about 4.5 years of sobriety when I got on the police department. And so it's great to be able to transmit that gift to officers on the job, and I think it makes the job better. And I think the thing is about being a police officer in recovery is that you do deal with traumatic stuff, and I think it can be a barrier to sobriety. Constantly being exposed to traumatic incidents, dealing with other people's trauma while you're trying to recover from your own can be a real struggle. And also, I think being a police officer and having authority, maybe making that surrender and kind of throwing your hands up and say, you know, I can't do this, it can be a little difficult because you're really taught that surrendering or giving up is not an option. One thing I can tell, you know, police, EMS, fire, you know, for regarding the disease of alcoholism and addiction. Well, I think in the line of duty when you encounter it on the street, is to be conscious that a lot of times these people are doing things that they really don't want to do. And I know it was hard, even being in recovery and being on the street. I still would sometimes take things personally, but these people are struggling with their own demons, and you have to do what you have to do. If someone has to go to jail, of course they have to go to jail. In fact, you know, a lot of people get sober as a result of going to jail. Actually, a little full disclosure, I was arrested before I got out of the job when I was 21, and it was just a public intox, never went on my record or anything, but it was the wake-up call for me. So sometimes taking someone to jail is maybe the safest thing. It's going to keep them safe, and it might be a wake-up call. But I think trying to treat them with respect, you know, when you do that, and just to realize that just let their talk go in one ear, not the other. When someone's drinking or under the influence, they're really not even, you know, they're not making sense to themselves, you know, much less you. So I think just trying to be understanding, have some compassion for them. It really, you know, I mean, we sometimes, and I can forget this, I know I certainly did when I was on the street, I'd forget that, you know, we might be the last person to touch someone, you know, an alcoholic or a drug addict. We might be the last one to see someone as they pass away as a result of this disease. You know, so I think, you know, we really are maybe the connection between the alcoholic and the addict and the rest of society. We might be that last act of goodwill. We might be that last decent hand for them. And I think it's important to keep that in mind. You know, and I think a good thing is to carry around information about, you know, maybe where's the Adams Board or recovery places around the area. And carry that information, the number of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. These phone numbers are good things to carry. I always carried this stuff in my pocket when I was at work, just to share information with them if we come across them, because you never know. They might be at their wit's end, and sharing that information might be exactly what makes the difference. So I've certainly heard these stories all the time that they get arrested and, you know, treated with respect from an officer, or maybe a fireman or EMS gives them that shot of Narcan and brings them back, and that's the difference. That helps them get sober and they return to their lives, return to their families. So yeah, we could definitely make that difference.